Alright everyone, this is Marco Palmero, founder of Ulysses in Dubai. In this video, I want to talk a little bit more about our DealFlow services, and more specifically, I want to dive deeper into the reasons why we decided to develop a service like this and how this service supports companies like you in identifying acquisitions and investment opportunities here in the Middle East. So the whole concept of DealFlow is, of course, to create a solid pipeline of transactions that companies can tap into at any point in time and ultimately enable them to enter a region like the Middle East in a quicker and easier way. Now, when I first came to the region years ago, what I realized was that it was very difficult to create a consistent deal flow, especially if you wanted to build it from scratch and if you wanted to do it off market. Of course, there were a lot of transactions available in the open market, but all these deals were available to almost anybody. And to some extent, there was a lot more competition around these deals. Not all of them were good, and so it was actually more limited. It was limiting for businesses to just look at these types of opportunities. And I thought there was a better way to identify off-market opportunities, off-market deals that were less competitive and also better from a financial standpoint. And so this deal flow process and service was born out of a need that we had as a company at Ulysses in finding and sourcing our own opportunities. So we had to make this process work for us first. And thankfully, again, we had a pretty strong team with more than 150 years of combined experience in the region. And thanks to that network and our own expertise and efforts, of course, we were able to create a deal flow system that predictably enables us to find opportunities and keep opportunities flowing through our doors, even when we are actively targeting a purchase. And so we're mostly focused on a deal. What we saw over time is that it is important to keep this deal flow going, of course, because if some transaction doesn't come through, we wanted to be able to immediately look at new opportunities instead of building our deal flow from scratch all over again. So subsequently to that process, we saw a lot of businesses asking us how to, replicate these results, how to do these things for themselves. And so we started providing this support to other companies by niching down on their specific needs and acquisition criteria and then sourcing the opportunities on their behalf. And so the point around the deal flow service that we provide is that we want to streamline the process of entering UAE or Middle East for other businesses so that they can focus on their core business without spreading themselves too thin. Many times it takes a lot of effort and time to build a solid deal flow pipeline. And unless you have somebody on the ground doing that, it's going to be harder for companies, even big ones, to do that because it requires, again, resources, effort, time, and also a lot of focus. And that is something that a lot of businesses aren't willing to commit when they enter a new region. They would rather negotiate a deal right away if it is available, but at the same time, they want to focus on their business back home. And that is, frankly speaking, a good decision because, of course, you're entering a new market. You want to be cautious. You want to make sure the decisions are made in the right way. And, of course, allocating a lot of time towards building up something that might not lead anywhere, might not be a good allocation of your resources and time. However, working with somebody else that can fast track that process for you might actually be the right answer for you, especially, again, if you wish to tap into off-market opportunities. If what you're looking for is to maintain your confidentiality and still access quality deal flow, then getting support from somebody on the ground like us may be the best possible solution for you. And that, again, is because working with somebody external enables you to maintain control over what you do best, not spreading yourself too thin, and ultimately access the opportunities and the answers that you need without putting in a lot of effort in time. And so what we basically do with the DealFlow service that we provide is that we streamline that process. We do the sourcing, we do the qualification, and we do the presentation to you as a business owner, as a company owner, as a organization, so that you can then make the decisions right away whether or not you want to pursue these acquisitions targets and step into the negotiation arena, or you just want to set them aside and continue looking at new opportunities. That greatly reduces the time that you invest in each transaction, because ultimately the only thing you will have to do is review the reports that we present to you and maybe have one discussion with the seller if that target is particularly interesting. But then if nothing is coming out of it, you can just move on to the next one, and you haven't wasted a lot of time and resources in finding the deal, qualifying the deal, and then discussing it with the seller. Substantially, we take all that burden off of other companies, and we enable them to just focus on the final decision so that they can make them with a lot more precision and in less time. Ultimately, that again accelerates the process of execution when it comes to transactions, because once we have our deal flow process rolling for you, we will report to you every 2 weeks. You'll get deals continuously, and then you can discuss them internally, decide whether or not you want to pass on it. But that is just a yes or no decision. And then you can continue focusing on what you do best, running your business. And then again, decide whether or not you want to negotiate this deal or just pass on it and wait for something better to come. That is substantially where the value really is. It's the process of streamlining the deal flow sourcing process. And that, again, is tremendously important, especially in a region like the Middle East, where a lot of time goes into these processes, and it takes quite a lot of effort to build a relationship, build the deal flow in the pipeline of acquisitions and investment opportunities. Many times companies underestimate how long it takes to do these things if done correctly. And that's why we are able to support so many businesses, because we basically provide a clear solution to that issue. The moment companies realize clearly that the Middle East has more complexities compared to other parts of the world, then it becomes a much easier collaboration, because they understand how much time and how much resource they're going to save by working with somebody that, one, is on the ground, and two, already knows how to get access to those deals, how to get access to those opportunities, and qualify them correctly so that they avoid making mistakes. And so that is a little bit of a summary around what the deal flow service is and what it is that we do when we work with companies from a deal flow perspective. We source, qualify, and present acquisition opportunities to them. Now, a little bit of a side note, which is in addition to what I just discussed, is that we are not really investment bankers or brokers, because we focus on our own acquisitions, and at the same time we provide a deal flow service to other companies. So substantially what we do and what we are excellent at is sourcing the transactions on your behalf while keeping them strictly confidential. Once you decide to execute on a deal, you have 100% control over the transaction, because we won't get involved, we won't act as intermediaries, and we won't be messing up the transaction or the relationship between you and the seller. Once you decide the transaction is a go for you and you want to take the next step and start a negotiation, then you're in full control and you have a one-on-one relationship with the seller and their representatives. So that gives companies tremendous leverage and power, because not only they access a streamlined process like the deal flow service that we provide, but once they decide to execute on something, they also have the control and the power that they would have if they had sourced the transaction on their own. So substantially, it's a very bespoke solution for companies. They don't need to rely on a third party for all the communications and so on and so forth. Once they decide the deal is a go for them, they want to negotiate with a seller, then direct channel of communication gets open and they're able to, interact with them directly. By the way, if this is something that is of interest to you and your company, if you're looking actively at UAE and Middle East as a region for investments and or acquisitions and or expansion, check the link below. We generally take on only a few engagements per quarter, and that is because, again, we highly focus on results and performance for the client. So we want to make sure we can deliver at the highest level every single time. Plus, we have other business lines too. So we only work with a few companies each quarter, but provided we have available slots, we'll be happy to find out how we can support you in accomplishing your goals, how we can support you in finding off-market deals in any sector here, so that you can get preferential access to opportunities that are not necessarily listed anywhere, and then really benefit from investing and acquiring these types of assets. So again, if you're interested in that, if you're interested in our DealFlow services, make sure you check the link below and we'll be happy to take a call.